Welcome to Soul in Spirit, where spirituality meets real life. I'm Summer Paradiso, a psychic medium, intuitive guide, yoga teacher, and artist here to help you reconnect with your highest self. Here, we dive into the practices that strengthen your connection to intuition, higher self, spirit, and source. We'll explore my signature Soul in Spirit method, a fusion of movement, meditation, and creative expression designed to help you release emotional blocks and reclaim your power. Because to move through life with alignment and ease, we must first embrace vulnerability. Whether you're just spiritually curious or fully immersed in the ocean of woo-woo, this is your space to explore grounded spirituality. Expect soulful convos, real-life stories, creative tangents, and grounded practices to support your transformation. So take a deep breath, grab your coffee, tea, or whatever keeps you sane, and let's explore how to bring more magic, meaning, and soul alignment into your everyday life. Let's do this. Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to today's episode of Soul in Spirit. I'm your host, Summer Paradiso, and today we are going to talk about 4 ways that I will call you out if you are my client. Now, if you're not my client, you can still listen to this episode because these are simply things that I could call out on anybody. And the reason I'm framing it as calling out my clients is because my clients have given me permission to call them out on these specific things. What these call outs are for is basically when I see a pattern or when I see something that needs a bit more self-inquiry, I'm going to call my clients out. And I use the term call out with love here. I do sometimes embody the Coach Summer as like previous volleyball coach, CrossFit coach vibe. And there is sometimes an intensity to it. And it's because I can see and speak to your highest self. When I am working with someone, I am interacting with their highest self. I can see their highest self. I can talk to their highest self. I can see the path illuminated of their highest self. And so when I am working with someone, I am going to hold them to that standard because they have signed up for transformation. They have signed up for the resistance that comes with transformation. Because in order to transform, you must experience some form of resistance that causes you to move into an unknown area outside of your comfort zone. And once you move beyond that, then there can be transformation. And so when my clients sign up with me for transformation, they know that it is important for me to help point out their blind spots, because it is often in our blind spots that lie the biggest opportunities for transformation. So today, again, if you are not my client or have not been a client, that is okay. I would encourage you to listen so that you can notice if you do any of these things yourself. Because if you do, that means that you have some opportunity for growth, some opportunity to walk a little bit closer in alignment with your highest self. So listen in, there's 4 of them. The first one is one that I very recently, last week, called out one of my clients. And it was such a big call out that she made a reel about it on Instagram that I will put the link in the show notes, because it was one of those, when she posted it, I felt bad for like a split second. And then I was like, no, this is what people hire me for. And This is what it is. When you are continuously saying, I'm trying to, there is a Yoda moment here, and I have to admit that I'm not a Star Wars girly, so I'm going to misquote it. And just know that I'm throwing respect to little Yoda, man, little Yoda, knowing that there is something here. There is no try. You're doing something or you're not doing something. One of my coaches, who did not quote Yoda, mentioned one time, he was like, hey, can you try to pick up that pen? He had a pen right next to his hand. And he's like, okay, could I, try to pick up the pen? And you can't. You're either like, someone tries to pick up a pen, they kind of flinch forward and it's like, well, no, then they start touching it and it's like, well, no, that's actually picking up the pen. So you're doing it or you're not doing it. And that is the exact same in your life. And when you are saying, I'm trying to, you are using words that are telling your subconscious that you are not doing something. It's a protection mechanism. You are serving your amygdala, your fear-based center, by saying, I'm trying to, because that simply means you are not doing it. Now, this client who I called out, and then she called me out for calling her out, and we're still cool. We had a session today. We're good. She has been saying in a lot of her voice memos to me, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. And it often was paired with overwhelm. And the reason it was paired with overwhelm is not specific to her. It is because when you start saying, I'm trying consistently instead of doing or not, you are giving your power away. Now, this is kind of a buzz phrase, giving your power away, reclaiming your power. You guys know I get my panties in a twist about buzzwords now that have been so overused. And this, I can only say this as giving your power away. You are relinquishing control. You are giving power away by saying, I'm trying to. You are taking your locus of control from internal and putting it external. You are then allowing life to happen to you and not for you. You are not at cause in your life. And so when we talk about, this is an NLP, when we talk about being in effect or at cause, someone who is in effect is experiencing life as if it's happening to them. They're not taking responsibility for things. Now, if you have a pet die or a parent die or a traumatic event happen to you, I'm not saying that it is your fault. Certainly not. And I am saying that your reaction to it, how you process the emotion, how you move through life afterwards, how you keep going, how you talk to yourself after, how you exist in the world after those events is your responsibility. And if you stay in effect as if everything's happening to you, then you have zero power and you will be in this I'm trying to powerless state. So I will call you out if you are saying I'm trying to get you into a do or do not. You are doing it or you are not doing it, and you get to choose. And when you choose, you own the choice because it is yours and no one else's. I think that's all I have to say about that. Call out number 2. If you are justifying yourself, and get comfortable being uncomfortable, if you can step outside of your comfort zone enough to get comfortable being uncomfortable, you're then reinforcing this pattern that the unknown outside your comfort zone becomes known. I know it's kind of a mind fuck, so I'll try to say it a different way, but being able to encourage your nervous system to be in uncomfortable or unknown quantities, situations, and showing your nervous system that it is safe to change, then your nervous system will start to chill out and not freak out every time a change arises or every time you experience something outside your comfort zone. And it is just kind of like you think about you learn something by doing. This is the same concept. The more that you do the uncomfortable, the more comfortable it becomes. More than 2 times on a specific matter, I am going to call you out. I dare say I might do it even if it's the first time you're justifying yourself on a matter. Because if you are verbally justifying or explaining something out loud, there is a reason for it. Now, there's someone in their car driving, listening to this, being like, well, Summer, I don't have a filter. I have verbal diarrhea. I just say all the things. That is wonderful. And there is a reason that you have no filter, quote, or need to say all the things. And justification, the need to justify, the need to talk and explain of why you're doing something is a laser pointer, like the dangerous kind that they tell you not to put near your eye. It's a laser pointer towards something that needs to be cleared. Because you don't need to defend things that you're at peace with. If you need to defend anything, you obviously have some sort of activation there. Now, consciously, you could be like, well, no, of course, I don't have any activation there. I'm good. And then I feel like you might be explaining why you don't have an activation there or it doesn't bother you. And that would tell me that there is something there that may be subconscious, that maybe you don't consciously know how to articulate. This is one that shows up with every client, pretty much every person I interact with at some point. Also with me, to be very clear, because over-explaining is part of the wanting to be seen, heard, and understood wound. And because of that, there will be a whole other podcast specifically about this over-explaining, this justifying. For the sake of this podcast, I will simply leave it here so you know that you probably need to come back next week to listen to more examples of this needing to explain. I won't make you wait on the edge of your seat for a week without giving you at least one example. And one of them that I see a lot, and one that I have done myself, is defending a boundary. You might defend this boundary that you have set with a specific individual to the individual that you have set the boundary with, or you might be defending it to someone else to justify the why of making the boundary. I'm being really vague here because I know there has been some point in your life, dear listener, that you have needed to set a boundary, and I want you to think of that time right now. And I also want you to think about how there might have been some guilt that could have crept into that boundary. A lot of the time, some of you might be like, no, there was no guilt. And that is great. You need to listen to next week. And I'm going to tell you that a lot of times it's pointing to guilt, because when we're justifying a boundary, it typically means that there's part of us that believes the boundary is not fair, or that we should not be doing the boundary in that way, or that we should not blah, blah, blah. This especially goes with, like, if you want to no contact or not talk to someone because they seemingly just cause harm every time you interact with them. And yet, if it's someone like a family member, people get real weird because they feel like they should, that lovely should word, feel like they should be able to or still talk to that person because they are family. And so there is a consistent need to justify the boundary so that they can feel consciously good. But what happens is the justifying of the boundary does nothing other than spinning of wheels and energy, because you feel like you have to justify it in your mind, to your friends, to anyone, to anything, to your cat, over and over, because you still can't, like, unconsciously truly believe it. Because there's part of you that wants the boundary, part of you that feels like you shouldn't have it. Stay tuned on that one. All right, call out number 3 for my clients is, I don't feel ready yet. I'm not ready yet. This is even for a lot of people who want to work with me, but I'm not ready yet. I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't have energy. I just don't think it's the right time. I'm not ready. And common quote, no one's ever really ready for anything. Is that a common quote? I feel like people say this, especially with kids. You're never truly ready. They're not wrong. What is ready? What is the definition of that truly, though? Because it's going to be really subjective. And if you think about anytime you've been asked, are you ready? I get jitters thinking about it. Is there not often a pairing of, like, fluttery emotions, like, oh, okay, I'm ready, yes. Now, I could counter this. This is not part of my plan for this podcast, but I'm thinking about it. I've been really ready to get off a flight. I've been ready to be done with a class. I've been ready to be done with diapers. So in that regard, in finishing something challenging, you could say, I am ready for this. So I'm playing devil's advocate here, and I can see those. And also, what is interesting is with those, if you're ready for something to be finished, but it's not, that would indicate that there's more learning there for you. Ooh, that's annoying that I said that. And it's true. My teacher self from the past is coming forward and saying, what about all of those school years that you were ready to be over? And she's not wrong. And that means there was still more learning, quite literally, for the kids and for me. Being done playing devil's advocate, what I hear typically is not being ready to do the 8-week transformation, not being ready to carve out the time for yourself because you're too busy, right? Not being ready to invest in yourself, which is so funny to me, because when you carve out time for yourself, when you invest in yourself, you end up getting the transformation that you're hoping for. You end up getting huge transformation. So the people who do carve out the time for themselves, the people who do say yes to transformation, end up getting what they put in. And someone saying, I'm not really ready, is just a very cute way of avoiding change. And change, my friends, is a threat to your nervous system because change indicates unknown outcome or unknown quantity. And we are wired to want sameness because sameness equals stability and stability equals safety. And especially for those of you who had a rough upbringing or a rough marriage that you got out of, or some rough past lives, y'all got some jacked up root chakras. And so your foundations are real rocky. So any change can feel very scary because that's a reinforced pattern for you. And I know this. So a lot of my clients who are experiencing the fear of change will typically say, I'm not ready. Or one of my favorite one-on-one clients, she had done the 8-week transformation. And this is when I first introduced Siren Rewired. She was like, am I ready for that? And I was like, bitch, yes. Yes, you are. Because there's no actual ready. It's, are you going to do it or not do it? All of these objections or things that people say, clients or not clients, are simply ways of avoiding change, avoiding transformation. And no one's ready. You can't be, unless you are Benjamin Button or Merlin. Like if you're one of those living backwards people, party on. Please, if you are one, then I want you on the podcast. So just DM me, please. And if you are not Merlin or Benjamin Button or living backwards where you know every single thing of the future, you are not ready because there is always going to be an unknown outcome. And so waiting to be ready for something is just, again, a real cute way of avoiding change. Which leads me to call out number 4 is more avoidant behaviors. I have a client who I love dearly. And client, if you are listening to this podcast, know that this is learning for other people. I love this client so dearly, and she requested in our one-on-ones to focus on developing psychic and mediumship skills. She was really interested in working on tips and tricks to do that, to really hone her psychic and mediumship skills, which she has. She already has some and is experiencing some. And I said no. I gave her a little bit, but then I was like, no. Not because I don't do that. I do. I love giving tips and tricks and exercises on how to strengthen intuition, strengthen connection to spirit, strengthen mediumship. And I have a course on it, Know Your Intuition series that I did on understanding signs and symbols from spirit. So yes, I love that. And I know for her specifically, because I know my clients well, and I curate their experience so that they get the best and biggest transformation that's individual to them. And I know for her that she did not need more tools and tricks on how to connect to spirit. She needed more clearing, more energetic clearing, more limiting belief clearing. And so I did not give her more tools for mediumship. We cleared out more limiting beliefs. We cleared out more in her root chakra and her heart chakra. We cleared out the shit that would cause her to doubt anything that she got from spirit. Because here's the thing, if you have an amazing connection to source, past loved ones, spirit, angels, whatever, if you don't trust what you're getting, what is the actual point of being able to communicate with spirit? What is the actual point of being a psychic medium if you can't trust what you're getting? I would wager that if you're listening to this podcast, you are interested in developing connection to intuition, to source, perhaps psychic abilities and mediumship, because everyone has access to it. And a lot of people have had access to it for a while, but they do not trust it. And your channel could be blown wide open, but if you do not trust it, there's no point. And so what I do is help people clear out the emotional blocks living in their system that prevent that self-trust. And so if you are my client and you ask for more mediumship or psychic tools, if we still have more stuff to clear out, I'm going to tell you no. And we're going to clear out more of the emotional blocks and limiting beliefs that are preventing you from actually believing what you're receiving. And if you're like my client that I said no to, you'll start messaging me daily about stuff that you're getting from your spirit guides, from past loved ones, from your highest self and source energy, and just telling me facts that you're receiving because you're not doubting them. Because that's what she's doing now, because we cleared out more stuff. Another version of avoidant behavior is a little less intentional. And this is so interesting. I love it. I have a client in my 8-week transformation right now who has kids, and she has a baby. I think the baby's like 7 months. And kids are hard, man. I have 2. Y'all know this. Whether you have kids in sports and you're driving them around everywhere, whether you have lots of diaper situations, whether you're caring for parents or you have 3 jobs, I don't know. I understand. There's people who are busy. And there's a lot of opportunity for resistance to come up when you are setting time aside for yourself to create pockets of transformation, especially if you're in 8-week transformation, you're setting time aside for movement, meditation, creative expression, whatever we have on the docket. There's oftentimes opportunity for resistance to come up. And so this particular client, she had booked a reading as well during the 2nd week of the transformation, which is sacral chakra week, a 2nd chakra. And she mentioned on the call, she was like, I am having a hard time doing the sacral chakra. I have 60 minutes in the morning and the practice is 65 minutes and I don't know how to fit it in. And she's like, that sounds so stupid, but I feel like, this kid needs something, or my husband needs this, or someone needs this. She's like, there's things coming at me that are happening. And so I can't seem to do it because stuff keeps coming up. And that is going to lead me to my infamous saying that I say to everyone is, beyond the biggest resistance is the biggest transformation. I straight up told her, I said, you got something big and sacral to clear, because that is your nervous system putting the energy out into the world. It's this knowing, it's a subconscious knowing that, oh shit, when she does this sacral chakra week, she's gonna dig up some shit to clear. And your nervous system is like, nah, I don't want that change. And so it is emitting the energy into the world, being like, no, I don't want that change. And the world is receiving that energy and calling in resonance for things that can prevent you from experiencing that change through the action you had planned on doing. It's fascinating. And I've seen it happen too, like at my retreat this past January in Mexico. And it's happened to me too. A lot of times people will experience resistance before coming. I will tell you that almost everyone's like, oh my God, I don't want to go, before they're packing. Like the week before, they're like, I don't want to go. This is too much. I don't want to do it. Meh. And that is your nervous system trying to avoid change or transformation. It's trying to stay rooted down to feel safe. I had one client on that retreat trip who had experienced a great deal of resistance before coming. And then on the trip as well. And she had a bright, shiny transformation beyond that resistance. And so I want you to just notice that you might be consciously trying to avoid change by asking for, I want to work on these skills and this like lighter stuff because the other stuff feels kind of heavy. Or it might be subconscious and more energetic in what you're putting out into the world, and that things will keep popping up around you to prevent you from doing the thing that will evoke the biggest change. So there you have it. Those are my 4 call outs that I'll do for my clients. They're all the same thing, wearing different shirts. It's the same through line. It's all avoidant. It's all your highest self calling you in and asking for alignment. And it's your earth self, your nervous system that is trying to prevent you from stepping into something unknown, because unknown equals not safe. One of my clients asked me, can I ever get comfortable being outside of my comfort zone? And the answer is no, in the sense that if you're comfortable outside your comfort zone, that just means you've expanded your comfort zone, which is what we're doing our entire lives. We are consistently expanding our comfort zone, which is why it requires us to get uncomfortable to move outside of it in order to expand it more. What I will say you can do, a life hack, and you've probably heard it before, is get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because when you get comfortable being uncomfortable, that creates a familiarity with the unknown. And if you're familiar with the unknown becomes more known. Make that a bumper sticker. You might need to rewind and listen to that again. And it is one of those things, in the more times you put yourself in a situation that might be uncomfortable, the more accustomed your nervous system will be to doing that. And so it can adjust faster. It can adjust more automatically without as much energy. Because if you think about it, a lot of times we are just trying to preserve energy. You've probably heard yourself say that, like, oh, I don't want to talk to this person. I just don't have the energy. I don't want to set a boundary. I just don't have the energy for that conversation. I don't want to bring up this issue I have with X, Y, and Z because I don't have the energy to talk about it. So a lot of times we're not just preserving safety, or preserving energy. Because, well, if you don't have energy, you can be less safe. You need energy to get away from the saber-toothed tiger. If you felt called out by me today by any of these, I would love to hear about it. Feel free to email me or click the link to my Instagram in the show notes and DM me. I would be honored to call you out on your avoidant behaviors. So if you are interested in working with me and being called out, I have the 8-week transformation, which doors will be opening soon. I will let you know. We have a current cohort going right now, and there will be some opportunities to join in the future. So if you are interested, go ahead and just DM me there. And if you are interested in working with me one-on-one, which is my hardcore Siren Rewired container, and most of the clients that I mentioned today are all my one-on-one clients. If you're interested in that, please just message me and we can chat. You can also book a 30-minute call if you're interested in working with me. There's no strings attached to those calls. You simply get to pop on to a Zoom call and we chat, and I call you out on things that you might have opportunities to move past, and we decide if it's a good fit. And it's also just really nice to connect with other people who are interested in aligning more with their highest self in this lifetime. And so if you were interested about that over communicating, over explaining one, the second one I went over today, please stay tuned for next week's episode because I will be diving deeper into that one and why in the world we feel like we need to over explain and over communicate because it's good. So until then, I hope you have a great week. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Talk soon. Thanks so much for listening to Soul in Spirit. If this episode moved you, sparked something, or just made you feel a little more like yourself, I'd be so grateful if you left a review or shared it with someone you love. It helps more souls find this space and join us in raising the collective vibration. If you have questions, thoughts, or just want to share what came up, I'd love to hear from you. DM me on Instagram or email me anytime. Until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and keep showing up, because the real magic shows up when you do. With so much love.